there folks, and how is it going? And welcome back to another video. And look where we are, nestled in the rocks. It's kind of windy here where we are, unfortunately. We are right at the mouth of the Liffey, leading us into the Irish Sea from where we are sitting, and we are catching some beautiful light. The intention in today's video is essentially just to photograph the two lighthouses that are here at the end of Dublin City. On the right hand side you've got Poolbeg Lighthouse, and then this green fella here in front of me, which you might be able to see, the Bull Lighthouse. I'm going to fact check that and put the name on the screen for you. But it is proven to be quite challenging, but yet very, very rewarding. So join us as we capture the last bit of light over these beautiful lighthouses, and maybe try catch a nice blue hour image towards the end after the sun sets over the city. And yeah, so let's set ourselves up, fire a few pictures and see how they turn out. So folks, for my first image today, I am looking straight at Poolbeg Lighthouse. It's a wonderful lighthouse and a wonderful place to go walking as well, out to the lighthouse and the whole area around there. As you would have seen from last week's video where we were testing our chops with the fine art photography style, I'm kind of leaning into that a bit now. I've got my 10 stop on and my polarizer on, but it is catching such beautiful, beautiful side light at the moment, and it's really, really photographing so wonderful. The slight bit of wind, unfortunately, I'm shooting at about 30 seconds. I just hope they come out sharp. So if this picture turns out to be any good, I'm going to pop it up on the screen for you now.
Welcome friends to the ASMR Photography Studio, and welcome to the first image in this week's video. I love Poolbeg Lighthouse. Not only is it a wonderful place to go for a nice stroll, it also photographs so beautifully, and the light we caught on its side this evening was just pure magic. I am thrilled with how this image turned out and delighted that I was able to create such an aesthetically pleasing image. The pop of red of the lighthouse really jumps off the screen for me here, and the composition of the line coming in from the right and the beautiful long exposure, which thankfully was sharp even though it was slightly windy. I was obviously down low enough in the rocks to be able to create this, but overall I am delighted with how it turned out.
The beautiful thing about a spot like this, when you're looking to ultimately come out and photograph two lighthouses, they are so close together. I actually don't need to move for the second composition. I am now looking down straight ahead. There's a beautiful leading line of these rocks at high tide, acting as a nice leading line into this green lighthouse that's off in the distance, this North Bull Lighthouse. And it's just so wonderful. And again, like the previous one, it's just catching the light just so beautifully, and it's really magic. The evening light here, I am very precariously set up with the tripod, trying to get down as low as I can to try and mitigate some of the wind. It is a bit calmer now than when we first arrived, which is great. So yeah, it's just proven to be wonderful. So the only thing I might nitpick about are the boats that are right behind the lighthouse when you want to photograph something. So maybe we'll try and move them in Photoshop, but we'll see. So if this picture turns out to be any good, I'm going to pop it up on the screen for you now.
So, if you remember last week's video, my fine art photography video, you would have seen the final image in that video was a frame like this with the green lighthouse. So this is a good example of the kind of beginning frame that I started with when looking to ultimately create the image that I did in last week's video. I'll pop up last week's video's picture after this one. But even fine arty all aside, I really love this image, and as you can see in the background, I actually decided to leave the boats in the frame just because it's, you know, they're there. That's just the way it is. There's boats all over the place. They were unfortunately behind this lighthouse, but really the light is what makes this image absolutely sing for me, and I really love it. I'm so happy with the way that it turned out. And of course then the birds in the foreground really act as a beautiful kind of anchor to the frame, and the line of the wall really helps them bring us all the way through the frame. Super duper happy with this image. It's a very busy harbour, Dublin Harbour, as you can imagine. It's a capital city, but yeah, the boats, I don't know, I like them. I think they kind of add a nice kind of extra layer of depth to the frame, and I'm really happy with how this one turned out. So this then obviously is the image from last week. I won't ramble on about it too much. So you can see it's a landscape orientation, whereas the previous one was a portrait orientation. I did shoot them a couple of different ways. They're literally that's the only difference between them. But then obviously, like I described in last week's video about the work that went in, you can see I obviously had to remove the rocks in the foreground and all that kind of fun stuff. I added in the reflection and all that kind of fun stuff. Again, I won't ramble about it too much because I talked about it in last week's video. So onwards we move.
So Orla and I have swapped lenses, and I am shooting probably at around 75mm. I wanted to try and capture both of these wonderful lighthouses in the one frame, and so far I'm really happy with the results that I'm getting on the back of the camera. Again, I have my 10 stop on. I've done away with the polarizer because we don't really need that, and I was shooting at about 30 seconds to try and smooth out the water as much as I can. And yeah, it's really nice. You've got this gorgeous leading line of the rocks here leading out to one, and then you've got this beautiful line coming in from the side leading out to the other. Now I'm just looking over here at Poolbeg, the chimneys, and the sun is right in the middle of them, so I might quickly see if I can manage to swing around and get a shot of that. So if this picture turns out to be any good, I'm going to pop it up on the screen for you now, and let's see if we can get a shot overlooking the chimneys from where we are now. So let's go.
So it's one of the beautiful things about photography, and particularly photographing in this kind of scenario, is you have the opportunity to capture, you know, many elements in one frame, and this for me is one of those wonderful examples. I really love how this particular image turned out. I find the balance is really great. You've got that beautiful line on the left to the green lighthouse, and then of course then that wonderful line on the right to the red Poolbeg Lighthouse. Super duper delighted I was able to capture this all in one frame. I thought I was going to have to do a panoramic. It actually turned out that I was able to capture it in one frame, which was really great. Again, that pop of colour on the horizon line between the red and the green lighthouses, it just sings. It's so wonderful. I'm so delighted that it all worked out, and of course the light catching on the side of them lighthouses, it was such a joy, and it's such a unexpected result for a sunset shoot, and it was so beautiful. Really happy with how this one turned out.
Howth is just here behind us, and it is catching the light so beautifully, and it is photographing so wonderfully. It's such a great example of how nice light on something makes it really great to photograph. What turned into an exercise in coming out to photograph some lighthouses has certainly evolved into a magical time, and it is wonderful. Oh, well, there is a lighthouse at the end of Howth, Orla just pointed out, and it is called Howth Head Lighthouse.
Bailey Lighthouse.
Bailey Lighthouse it is called, folks. I need to get some geography lessons. It's getting a bit nippy, but nonetheless it is photographing wonderfully well. So we're still photographing lighthouses technically, but if this image turns out to be any good, I'm going to pop it up on the screen for you now, and it should be a good one. So let's have a look.
So Howth, here we are. I love this image. It was so off the cuff and so quick. The light was so fleeting. I think I captured this one, and then literally by the time the shutter ended, I pressed it again and the light was gone. And it's a really, really good example of just how fleeting light can be. I really, really love this image. The cloud formation in the sky is just so great. And of course, I was able to capture a longer exposure with the 10 stop, and it's just the light on Howth that makes it really just pop for me. And it contrasting off the dark background of the dark clouds on the horizon really make it pop just that bit more. Howth itself is a really magic place. It's a great place. It's one place that I would love to explore for photography. I've never actually photographed the Bailey Lighthouse. That's right at the very, very right edge of Howth. So someday I'll get out there and photograph the Bailey Lighthouse. But thankfully, as Orla pointed out, it is a lighthouse, so I'm technically correct in my lighthouse photography adventure.
I'm looking back now at Poolbeg, the chimneys, and the sun, they're silhouetting so beautifully. It's so wonderful. I still have my 10 stop on, and I'm actually getting quite a balanced exposure at 3.5 seconds, which is marvelous because I'm looking right at the sun, and it's far exceeding my expectations in what we're ultimately came out to get here. It's absolutely fantastic. Loving this. And it's just so wonderful. I might wait for the sun to come down just a small bit, because at the moment I'm going to pop up the first picture that I took. You'll see that the sun is right behind the right hand chimney, but as it descends I'm going to just wait until I can try and get the two of them clean and silhouetted against this beautiful, beautiful golden light and sky that will inevitably happen, I hope. It's just so marvelous. So look, if any of these pictures turn out to be any good, I'm going to pop them up on the screen for you right now.
This is the first image where I mentioned the sun is directly behind the chimney, the pigeon house as it's locally known. And I was editing it yesterday and I was like, oh, I actually really like this. So I really do like this. And I find the square crop really punches it in a nice bit. I just love that cloud that's running across the top. Really, really makes the whole image pop for me. And I'm really, really delighted with it. I think it's really, really great. But this was the ultimate result that I was really looking for. Yeah, it's funny because the previous image is a square crop and I ended up shooting this as a portrait orientation. So my intuition was leaning more towards that kind of frame, but I really love the fact that the sun is well balanced in between the two, like the kind of newer incinerator and the old pigeon house. And of course you can see that the long exposure I captured was to smooth out the water, which is lovely. And then I actually photographed a few more images at a higher shutter speed because I wanted to introduce the birds into the frame, and for me really helps kind of add an extra layer of depth and aesthetic to the overall frame. I'm super duper happy with how this one turned out, and it's exactly the kind of image that I was looking to do when this evening was unfolding as it did, and I was really hoping to try and get a nice silhouetted shot of it's such an iconic location here in Dublin, and I love it to bits. I've been photographing it for years and I'm really, really happy to add this particular image to that collection.
Well, what an absolutely marvellous evening this has been, folks. I am absolutely thrilled at the conditions that we got this evening. It's like you'd pay for this. It's just so wonderful. I can't get over it. And it was so impromptu. I'll let you in on a secret. This is the same day as my fine art photography video, so it's just been an absolute belter of a day, and it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. It's exactly why photography is such a thrill and pursuit. But I am going to leave it here now, folks, because me and Orla are going to enjoy our lovely walk back to the car and then possibly go out and have some dinner. No, we're not? Yeah, we are. Okay, nice one. So, all that being said, folks, if you like the video, do please hit that like button. And if you fancy following along for more adventures like this one, you're most welcome to hit that subscribe button. And if you look in the description down below, you'll see links to all the websites and workshops and one-to-one tuition that I have going, newsletters and all that kind of fun stuff. So I'm going to stop the ramble. Take it easy, everybody. Cheers.